Because I know you're not a hoe. Okay. JDS Labs Subjective 3 and the Loki. These are two very, very similar devices, both made in America, both add-ons with just RCA pass-throughs, and what they are is an add-on equalizer. Bass, mids, treble on the Subjective, and the Loki is like shark fin, then further shark fin, and then backward shark fin, which it's basically bass, two mid-range, and a treble. Both have bypassable switches. This one does not have a power switch. The power switch is literally when it's on EQ, it's on, and when it's bypass, it's off. The main build difference between the two is this one gets warm and has a separate power switch and then a bypass, and this one just has a power switch that is the bypass. So when this unit is off and you can completely unplug it, it just passes through, which is nice because I forgot to plug it in and it was still like passing through. What these are is EQs to help fix your speakers or headphones or anything using tweaks in bass, treble, mid-range. But how well do they do that? Now, for this test, I'm a little proud of how this is set up, by the way, because my desk literally accomplished this. Geshelli Labs Enog 2 Pro is feeding RCA out here into this. Then this is outputting into this. And then this is outputting to the THX. So I know that the amplifier isn't fucking with anything because it's a THX 789. I had the these Aeolus as the headphones I was testing with, but here's the thing. If you're trying to fix a headphone, you're not really able to do that if your headphone's perfect. So let's pull out the 5.8X. Not because it's not perfect, but because at least I think it'll take to a change a little better. Place on skull, unpause Muzak. Get something with vocals or just overall song that I know. I really should have a playlist for these sorts of things. Here we go. Top Gun theme. Well, now they're both, here's the thing. I believe that they're not, once you set these on bypass, they're not messing with the signal. Because bypass is on, off, on. I'm listening, all the knobs are set off, zeroed out to noon. I really shouldn't play that music too loud through 5.8Xs. They do leak, and I'm sure there'll be a copyright claim. But I have all the knobs set to, you know, don't do anything, don't do anything, don't do anything. And then while listening to music, if you just sit here and you flip the switch, there's no change. Flip this switch, no change. So, I believe that they're pretty damn transparent. You could even unplug this one if you felt like it. So as we listen to a song, we disable the bypass. And now we can start tweaking. Now if I start with the Subjective 3, and we just do a Zeos to it, which if you don't know what a Zeos is, it's this. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. That's how I tweak televisions. Coming off the television rant, is I will usually, where's my metal remote, or any remote will do, this will be my play pause, good. You take like the color setting on a TV and you go, okay, colors at their 43, what does 41 look like? No, 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 no. It's not how Zeos touches things. Zeos goes, oh, the color's at 43. What does 0 and 100 look like? Okay, now let's go back to the center. So that's what I'm gonna do with these. That's what I've been doing with these. Because if you're trying to look for an added bass boost in like, I think honestly, more than headphones, this is going to be something you're going to get for speakers. And I just don't have enough speakers to just start throwing them up on desks and tweaking them. So we're going to do this with headphones and you're not going to be able to hear the result because I'm wearing them. But it doesn't matter because I'm just going to talk you through it. Different song. Perfect. Tom Odell's Can't Pretend, which is not a very well recorded song. Let's skip to ahead with a little bit more bass. Now, full bass. Let's assess that first. I'll assess that first. Full bass goes very muddy, very crowded, a little bit too much. I'm just assessing, again, full. That doesn't mean what it's going to be when you come down here and you just want to add a taste, which is mostly what these boxes are for. These are for adding a taste of something. Like, oh, I need more treble, and just, you know, my speakers or my headphones just need a little, a little something more, a little baby bit more. And what I'm going to determine on this review is which one gives you the taste of better. Now, I don't have something that's really awful, unfortunately. I apologize for only having good headphones and like things I trust. I mean, I can't even use that because that's USB. And actually, if you ever really learn about equalization, you mostly want to be subtractive. In other words, if you think your music doesn't have enough bass, instead of upping the bass, drop the other ones down so the bass is all that remains and turn up the volume. That's the more natural way to go about things, so you don't blow up any sort of like gain settings, which is tough when you're doing something like this. So let's, next track. All right, bass round, here it comes. Oof, oof. All right, let's try it on this. And I've, if you haven't noticed, I've gone kind of circus crazy with the marker, which, by the way, this will be in a yard sale, beautifully decorated by Zeos for you guys. Why will it be in a yard sale? I'll tell you at the end. So here's our bass knob. And then we have two mid-ranges. Now, this is, I'm assuming, sub-bass. This is mid-bass. This is upper mid-range. And then this is actually treble still. So, that on full doesn't make me want to vomit. That doesn't make me want to vomit. Ooh. Let me just get to the crux of the situation, because I'm going to sit here dicking around all day. The Loki is better than the Subjective, period. Straight up. It has more controls separated into more facets, and then it also has less actual decibels of change. Whereas the Subjective 3 here, if I raise the treble, it becomes painful treble at the top, and then no treble at the bottom. It feels like the tone controls, oh my god, the mid-range. It feels like the tone controls on like an old television, where if I turn on the mid-range, I could basically say this is for karaoke now, because it cuts out everything. So it's a little bit too broad of a stroke. It's interesting to play with. It has nice feeling knobs. But if I'm trying to actually fix the way something sounds, these are very broad strokes. And if you have to use the strokes as broad as this, you probably should change what you're playing your sound out of, whether that be headphones or speakers, or you're integrating a sub, things like that. By the way, this is how it wires up. It's just power and RCA ins and outs, and power and RCA ins and outs. Those Amazon Basics cables, though, they so thick. Get to something with. Just realize how little vocal, actual singing music I have. Madonna. Oh, a vinyl rip of Madonna. That'll work. You see, what this is believable. I could believe that these headphones have that much treble. All the way. Cranked it up. Like, oh, these are. But it doesn't hurt. That isn't the amount of treble that makes it hurt. And that sounds dull as hell. So let's go to the next one. That's very nice, actually. That's a, like, even at the maximum of the third knob, I'm not offended by the way this sounds. That is legit. Wow, I could just like dial this in. Off, Madonna, off, down. That was from the Dick Tracy soundtrack, by the way. Yeah, this unit is far and away superior sounding to the Subjective 3. It just... I never turn the knobs on this. Here, let's bypass those settings I just put in. And let's see if I can get it to like... I mean, if you go like... there... bypass... it feels like a rough edit. This feels like a rough edit. Whereas this, even though it's got less range, and that could be worse to some people. Some people maybe oh, I wish they turned that knob a little bit more. But when you put it on, you get just so much finer control of the frequency. Even by adding just one knob, you get so much more finite control of the way things sound. I would absolutely, and if you don't see how these are assigned, I've got the sub bass at 3 o'clock. It's like a little past 3, and this one is a little up before 3, and this one is fucking like 4:30, and here is like she's actually the least one. It's a little here. It's like here, and I have no problem with listening to these headphones, these 5.8X's, with that setting on there. Like if you hid this behind something and I didn't know it was installed, I wouldn't be able to say, oh man, are you EQing the shit out of this? Now, granted, several things matter. Number one, how clean is your amp? Number two, how clean is your DAC? Number three, what's your actual music? Is the music terrible? Because this is a vinyl rip, so it's gonna have, you know, the whole stupid RIAA curve is in there fucking with it. And then, do your headphones actually respond to an EQ curve and don't freak out? I know some headphones, you put a bass boost on, and they're already at like the maximum excursion limit, so they just can't handle it. These are handling it wonderfully. So I'm going to flip through. Now that I've got that set, and we've got this on and this bypassed, Haywire Sculpted. Bypass. Actually sounds... see, it actually sounds fucking great. Now, if I leave that bypassed, yeah, I cannot get with the JDS what I want it to sound like. Like if I just, like I know what these 5.8X's need a little more sparkle in the treble. By the way, these are fully back to stock with the foam and everything. And a little more treble, and you know, the mid-range is lacking, and you know, that low end could just come up a little bit because I'm listening to Haywire. And I've been dicking with the damn Subjective, and it just doesn't... If I did this just on its own, I would say, oh, this is a pretty unique unit. I like the way, you know, it does some decent work. If you want to play with your treble and a mid-range, usually it's bass and treble, adding a mid-range knob is great. Fuck that. 2 mid-range knobs, or sub-bass, bass, mid-range, treble, but all in much, much better areas. And then toning it down. If these are a 12 decibel swing, these are probably like a 6 or 7 decibel maximum swing. And when I do it, it doesn't ever sound bloated or distorted or too sibilant or just like you're doing this with the treble. This actually makes these headphones sound better. Now, I'm going to link, obviously, these 2 units. I'm going to link to SonarWorks, which I owe them a review, so that'll be coming up at some point. Which SonarWorks is this, but an app on your computer where you tell it what headphone you have, and SonarWorks has gotten all these headphones, they've measured them all, and they go and they build an EQ curve like I've just done here. And it's just like, all right, let's fix this and this and this, and you could adjust for your age and how much you actually like bass, and they'll apply it to your headphone, which means they'll apply it to the outstream before your DAC. And it works, and it does work if you want to correct your headphones. This is way more personalized because you're deciding what to go on. And we're going to talk about the 600-pound gorilla on the table in a second. But I'm telling you right now, sitting here listening, if you handed 5.8Xs to me before I'd ever heard them before, and you had this in line, and I listened to them, I go, wow, these things are kick-ass headphones. And then you flip this off, or on, I was on, which it does, since it is powered, it is actually, and I raised everything up, I did the opposite of what I said to do. So let's see, if I did what I said to do, we'd have to take whichever one's the highest all the way down, and then match. So this would have to come down to here, come down to here, and this would go a little bit down to here. So that one is now the top, and everything else is slightly under it. We should get the exact same effect. Just need more volume. Yeah. Oh my god, the low end. This is legit sub bass. Like, this is like... Oh. I'm tempted to put my 909s in this just to see if I could kill myself. And then you bring this up like... Bass heads rejoice. Let me just put it that way. If you were a bass head and you're like, man, I wish these headphones had more bass, buy a fucking low-key, turn that knob all the way up, turn the other knobs down, and then bring them up slowly until you're happy with the insane you've got going on. Now, this is 100, and this is 150, and this is 200. And now I'm going to talk about this. I've already reviewed the Mini DSP HD, but there's no reason to buy either one of these except for the fact they have a knob, because this will shit on it to death. And in fact, since it's only 200, let's talk about what this actually includes. So where this, you can control 4 separate equalization bands. 4. This will do 10 per channel, and then 2 on the input. And then it's a full graphical equalizer where you could adjust, like, not just, look, I want a bump in the curve. You could adjust the width of that bump. You could adjust the Q factor of that bump. You could have the roll off. Like, if you haven't seen my Mini DSP HD review, I'm pretty sure I didn't fucking come on it hard enough, because not everyone bought one. And then here's the thing. Okay, Zeos, it's got RCA ins and RCA outs, just like this, right? 2 and 2. And they could just run it like that. But this is the most important piece of audio equipment in my house. Like, you think the 789 is the most important piece of audio equipment I've got? Hell no. It's the best headphone amp, for sure. But this has more power, and I'm not just talking about like 6 watts a channel. I'm talking about what it can do. So as much as I want to sit here and tell you about the Subjective 3 and the Loki, and the Loki is the clear winner of these two, just clear fucking winner of these two, this will kick its ass. It'll be like a One Punch Man fighting a goddamn, I don't know, me, all right? That's me now, and this is One Punch Man. Because, yeah, I'm talking about the HD version. There is a non-HD version that is literally just RCA ins and then outs. Still is what I'm talking about. A couple less frequency bands for $100. But if you get the $200 one, you get fiber optic input and USB input and an infrared receiver. So I could go on for 30 minutes describing what the Mini DSP HD does. So let's do that, because I don't think enough of you own one of these yet. This controls my living room. Have you ever been to my living room? Let's go take a trip to my living room. Yeah, let's go. Fuck this desk. All right? My living room, my insanely big living room with $2,800 fucking ohm towers with 1,500 watts a channel amplifiers and subs powered by a separate crown amplifier. All of this controlled by this. One of these right here. Hey, litter box. Here it is. Look at the beauty of it. See? What this can do is it could take any signal you want, including a digital one, so it'll act as your DAC. You don't have to buy a DAC. You can buy this, put it on your desk, buy a headphone amp. Here's a JDS Labs Addon. Put that on it. Plug it in RCA. Plug it in fiber optic or USB, load up the application on the computer, and all the shit that I'm doing with this when I'm turning a knob, you could do that to infinitesimally fucking accurate and insane amounts. You want to add delay between the channels, you could do that. You want to change the phase. You want to have subwoofers in line. If you don't have one of these and you're trying to do like a 2.1 on your desk, hey Zeos, I want to do a 2.1 on my desk. What should I buy? Starting from scratch. You should have a computer. You should go USB or fiber optic into this. Put this down on your desk. Plug in one computer, plug in one monitor. Plug in a second monitor. Then you can plug in the sub or two subs, and then you can literally sit there and arrange delays and crossover points and everything you need to do. And the same will be true for headphones. And here's the best part. Since it has an infrared receiver here, you could pick up any remote control. In my case, I have like here's my Vizio remote for that TV. And I could literally program it to know that when I hit this button, load profile 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. And if I'm like, I want to listen to these headphones with no coloration. Profile 1, done. And then I put on, you know, my other pair of headphones and I'm like, I really want this to be like a bass. I want to feel the bass. Profile 2, and it'll just load that. Or 3 or 4. So you get 4 profiles. You get to switch between the inputs. It's $150 for this. And people are going to buy it. You're going to click the link in the description. You're going to buy this. Because you want simple. This is very simple. It's very stupid. It's like, hey, what does it do? In, out, done. That's it. You get your pretty knobs. Well, they're pretty because I colored them in with magic marker. But you get to go there and tweak how you want everything to sound. And it's very real. It's very real. And you can sit there and you go, I want more low end. And you're not going to get that out of this. You're not going to get that feel of just turning up the bass. Just a little bass. A little more bass. Just a little more bass. Oh, that's good. But what you are going to get is, oh, I don't know, your money's worth. Because I feel like 150 is a big ask for this, for just some knobs that adjust it. Especially when for 200, prime shipped from Amazon, you could plug in a very good DAC. When I play music in my living room for like sound demos, that's the DAC in this. It's not an $1,100 SMSL or one of the Metro. It's just the DAC in this. Fiber optic into this. That's it. Good enough. Because digital to the digital signal processing, then to analog. So I guess this is like a review of these, but at the same time, just buy the Mini DSP HD. For fuck's sake. Not enough people have one. You don't grasp the greatness that is this. Because everything that we're talking about, all the things about where you can tweak the bass, oh, you can bring the bass up just a little bit, you can do through a software application plugged into this very easily, I might add. I don't have it installed on this computer, I'd show you. And then just like hit save and you're done. But some people want knobs. And when you want knobs, you can spend $100 on these knobs, which I think are too rough. It's nice that they made it. It's too rough, guys. Work on that. Or you buy this. I think more people are going to buy this than buy the Mini DSP. Even though I'm just telling you that everything this can do better. And then like 10 times more. It's an incredible amount of like how much more this can do than even asking it to do like a 4-way equalization is. I mean, shit, you can do room correction with that. I can get Dirac Live for this, where I plug the microphone in and do the measurements and then it'll auto-correct for rooms. But that's like a $200 plus option. Whereas this is like, it's knobs. It's very simple. This is old school. This is old school. Old school as hell. I love it. I do love the unit. It sounds great. It sounds better than the Subjective. The Subjective is very, very rough. Like, oh, bass, treble, oh. And then if you go small amounts, it doesn't feel like it's moving the right amount of that. Like the low end knob on this is just, it's just such a thick adjustment. You know, that feels like one of those I would complain if this was a bass boost on a portable. I would complain about how that's doing it. And then the mid-range almost sounds like inverting the phase of the sound because it's just such a big, broad swath of sound. Whereas this, you could just put it up and it's like, oh. Turning these knobs make the music sound better. Turning these knobs makes the music always sound worse. That's just the way it is. Sorry, JDS Labs, you lose this time. And shit wins this time. But does they? But does they? Because this exists. Alright? I can't mini DSP hard enough ever on this channel. All right, all right, all right. This is like a salute, because you could buy this if you want. Oh, I want to set up my living room, but I don't want to put a surround receiver. I just want like 2 powered monitors and 2 subwoofers. I want a 2.2 in my living room. Yeah, but how do I control the volume? Literally, you could assign volume control inside of this as well with a remote control. Just any remote control. Go to eBay, find an old remote control. Be like, that one looks really cool. Volume up, volume down, mute, source input. You could just do toslink from your television, smart functions. You could go USB from a home theater PC, and you can go analog in from a Bluetooth receiver. It's got 3 inputs you could choose from. And then these 4 outputs can do anything you ask. So yeah, linked in the description are, well, the mini DSP is going to be first, because F it. And then probably a link to my Patreon, because that's, I bought this. JDS Lab sent me this, and then I bought this because I had this, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see what the competition can offer, and it offers. This is a better unit. It's just a better unit. I don't like how close the knobs are. It makes it a little bit difficult to tune. Like, I'm picking it up and able to tune like this, and I guess if you hung it off the edge of a table, that's fine. But as soon as you move it not on the edge of a table, then your fingers sort of like even my fingers, which are pretty thick, like look, the whole unit has to like lift up to get my finger under it. So unless you've got like very delicate little fingers, that's like my only complaint, other than it costing $150. This should be $100, just like this is. This should be like $50, and this should be $100. And then it would be like, all right, well, don't spend, if you don't want to spend the $200 for the mini DSP HD, then I could see that being, no. Since these are $50 apart, you don't buy that, you buy this. Because it'll, if you want to dumb it down to the point where it's just input and output, you can do that. Just boom, just power in this and input output with RCA, just like I got set up here, and you're golden. I would have set it up for this review, but again, the reason why you might not buy the mini DSP because it's fucking work. It's plug it in, it's got the USB, it's the software running, update your goddamn Silverlight or whatever the hell it needs to run on, Java 12, and then you start dicking with profiles, and it's not as easy as this. This is an easy review. This is easy. This is easy, but not as good as this. So if you're gonna buy one with knobs, buy the Loki. If you're gonna buy one without knobs, that's called the mini DSP. Like I said, the yard sale's coming up. I'm probably putting both of these in the yard sale. Again, because this exists. If I don't put the Loki in the yard sale, then I'm a hypocrite. So there you go. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. Hippos are fat, angry creatures that live in Africa, and they kill a lot of people a year. Do you know the hippopotamus is the most dangerous, deadly creature in Africa? Just in case you didn't believe me, look that up. So anyway, thank you for stopping by Z Reviews, where I rant about things that I haven't quite made up my mind at the start of most of my reviews. And as I'm getting into it, I sort of get the groove, and then it's like, boom! All right, I've decided what I'm going to say. Oh shit, the video's over. But that's just how this journey goes. So again, yard sales, Patreon, $5 a month. $10 a month gets you into a private Telegram chat where I answer all your questions. I will answer your questions on Patreon. It just takes me weeks at this point. There's just so many typed out questions backed up. And it's just easier for me on Telegram. You'll also get to see these reviews early. And wallpaper, always in the description. Unless you're in the Patreon, then $2 patrons and above get all the wallpapers I've ever used. Just a bonus. I'm not charging for that. But there's that. There's the link to the mini DSP. And good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Mini DSP life. Good.